Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday. We have a lot going on this morning. So, quick live this morning just to talk about some things that happened last night. The prosecution dropped some of the charges in Diddy's case, and we definitely want to just read what was in the letter that they submitted to the judge. This does not mean they have dropped all of the charges. I see some of that out there on social media where people are just saying like, no, that's not what happened, but they have dropped some of the charges. But before we get into that, something else that just hit the presses is that Tyrone Blackburn, and I think a lot of us are familiar with that name. I do view him as an ambulance chaser attorney, but he was arrested. Now, if you remember, Tyrone Blackburn was also a person who submitted some of the civil cases against Diddy, and I think his case was thrown out, a civil case. He, I think, is also connected to one of the male accusers that still has a case against Diddy. And as of late, he's also been involved in the Fat Joe case. He's the lawyer for the hype man who is accusing Fat Joe of a lot of things. And that's on this channel too, if you want to check out that video about what Fat Joe is being charged with. But I just wanted to let you all know quickly before we jump into the Diddy of it all that Tyrone Blackburn has been arrested for supposedly mowing down a process server. So let's just take a quick look at that, and then we'll jump into what's going on with Diddy. So the lawyer in the Fat Joe case was arrested for allegedly mowing down a process server. This is Tyrone Blackburn here. Let's see, more drama in the Fat Joe civil case. His accuser's attorney, Tyrone Blackburn, just got arrested for allegedly mowing down a process server with his car in New York City. A rep for the New York Police Department tells us Blackburn was taken into custody Wednesday morning and booked for assault. Cops say it all started on the night of May 12th. Oh, so I thought this had recently happened. So he was arrested last night, but this happened on May 12th? Okay. Cops say it all started on the night of May 12th when Blackburn got hit into his vehicle as a 66-year-old messenger was serving him a complaint in the Fat Joe case. Blackburn allegedly slammed his car into reverse and backed up, hitting the process server in the leg and causing a minor injury. The victim reported the incident to the police. Blackburn's arrest stems from a messy legal matter involving Fat Joe and the rapper's powerhouse attorney, Joe Tacopino. Okay, Tacopino tells us Blackburn sent a demand letter on behalf of Terrence Dixon to Fat Joe requesting $3 million for allegedly co-writing music with the hip-hop star. Okay, we're not going to get into all that because, like I said, there is another video on the channel that gets into what's going on with Fat Joe and his ex-hype man. But I just really wanted to make you all that this has happened with this lawyer who is representing Fat Joe, who had a case thrown out that he brought against Diddy. But I also think he has one active civil case, if I'm not mistaken, still pending with Diddy. But they reached out to Blackburn for a comment and no word back. So that happened. And then last night, while all of us were probably just doing other things or sleeping or whatever we were doing, the government submitted a letter to the judge requesting that some of the charges be dropped against Diddy. So let's get into what the ask was so that we can understand better, or try anyway. It might be a bunch of legalese. I have not read it yet. But try to understand exactly what it is that they are requesting. So it should be interesting. I don't think the jury is in court today. I don't believe. I believe today is just a day for the lawyers and the judge, and they're trying to make sure they get the instructions right for the jury, and so more like administrative type things. Closing statements are expected to begin tomorrow, go into Friday. Both sides are expected to take 4 hours each to get through their closing arguments, and the case is expected to go to the jury on Monday. So, okay, so here we are. Break it. Prosecutors have dropped attempted kidnapping, attempted arson, and aiding trafficking charges in the Diddy case. They're now pushing for clearer jury instructions on the main trafficking and forced labor counts, calling them complex. Now, is it complex, or is it that you're realizing you have not done enough to prove your case? I digress. Let's see what they wrote. The government respectfully writes regarding its, and this is the letter the government sent to the judge. The government respectfully writes regarding its requested edits to the court's proposed jury instructions. The government understands the court's desire for streamlined instructions. With that in mind, the government has suggested ways to streamline those instructions. Specifically, the government has removed instructions from the charge relating to attempted kidnapping under both California and New York law, attempted arson under California law, and aiding and abetting trafficking. The government is no longer planning to proceed on these theories of liability, so instructions are no longer necessary. The government has also attempted to simplify the language relating to count one, and count one is the RICO charge. A proposal, as explained in the government's comment, bubbles that the government hopes not only serves the purposes of streamlining the instructions, but also will avoid any confusion as to the operative agreement for count one, which again is the RICO charge. Okay, so let's see. So then they get into the trafficking and forced labor instructions. While the government has taken seriously the court's desire for brevity, the government still strongly believes that certain limited additional instructions on trafficking and forced labor instructions, which are regularly given in trafficking and forced labor trials in this circuit, are necessary for the jury to adequately understand the law on these charges. Each of these instructions reflect established case law and are directly relevant to key issues in the case. Moreover, without such instructions, the government has serious concerns that the jury may misunderstand the applicable law for both charges, which are extremely complex legal concepts about which jurors may have preconceived or mistaken notions. So, let me tell y'all what's happening right here. The government is saying that they are requesting that these charges be dropped in order to make it instructions clear so that they can be laser focused on the other things that are also complex. I smell a rat. What I think the government is doing here is trying in these final hours to do what they need to do to still get a conviction. Because I don't think they believe that the people believe that they have proven their case. They're probably seeing what a lot of people are saying, what's a lot of the perception on especially the RICO charge. So they want to, take out some of the, the unnecessary stuff, like kidnapping, arson, aiding and abetting, trafficking. Let's pull that out just so that when we tell the jury, go back there and convict him of RICO, they don't get, don't get all wrapped around the axle on some of the details involving that y'all saw during the trial. Just act like that didn't happen and check guilty. So we'll see if it works. What I think is going to happen, I think this will probably cause some on the jury, if not all. If they were saying, if anybody on that jury was saying, I don't see where you've proven that this is a RICO case, I think this move by the government may very well have, just like for them, for those people on the jury who might be thinking that way, I think this move by the government just makes it more easy for those jurors to say, okay, no. Okay, no. Are there other things going on? Who knows? Is there other movement going on? Other things happening? Who knows? We're talking about a powerful person with a lot of money, with a lot of connections. I still say, and I still believe that if he's convicted of anything, Donald Trump will likely pardon him. I strongly believe that. And my assessment of this whole trial, now that we're at the end of it, the only slam dunk I feel they have on Diddy is let's see what word YouTube wants us to use. I'll say it this way, is the tuition, the P-tuition. That sounds nasty. The P-tuition charges. That's the only thing to me that they have him on, hands down. Was he paying for commercial S-acts? Yes. Okay. So you got him for that. Everything else to me was up in the air. Okay. And do you send somebody to prison potentially for life for fill in the blank? Because YouTube again don't want us to say certain words. Do you send somebody to life for that? If you got questions around all the other things, and I can tell you right now, of the 5 counts that they have to decide guilty or not guilty on, and 2 of those charges belong to Jane. One, that she was coerced and forced into engaging in these acts, not guilty. Not guilty. If I were a juror, it would be not guilty, because he is not guilty on that to me. The second charge associated with Jane is that around the commercial S-acts, the prosta, okay, that they're going to get him on that. Now, I wish, as it relates to Jane, I wish that everything on her was not guilty, because child, please. So we're going to see. I just wanted to hop on and let y'all know what's happening. We'll see if anything else should happen before we get to closing arguments. We all out here may have our opinions. We may feel like we know how the jury might go. But if you've watched enough trials, one thing you should know for certain is that ultimately, you never really know. You never know what a jury is going to do. So I'll keep you all updated as we learn more. Hope you all have a fabulous day today. And until the next time, bye, y'all.